What up, family? This is your boy Gerald. It is Wednesday, the 28th of July, 2016. How is everybody doing? I had to put this damn video. I had to share this. First of all, how is everybody doing? How is your week thus far? You're halfway through your week. I hope that you stay grounded. You speak your truth, but of course, place God first in everything you do, because not only by placing him first in your life, he will protect you from the things that you do not know, but he will reveal the things that you need to be aware of in the intended time, because your life is priceless. There will never be another you, y'all. But I'm putting this video out because I have had some slight skirmishes on this here social media. And I've never been the type of person that feeds into people's banter, because everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I also know that we also have free will, and that free will, simply put, is the right to choose. See, they can't go where you're supposed to go because, see, that's part of your walk. And part of your walk is a description or a representation of what is found in your spirit, what makes the core of your character, what is being displayed through your personality. So guess what? We are what we attract. And one thing that I've come to understand, y'all, is we have people that don't like truth. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people being deceived too. But I also understand there's where that free will comes into play, because it is not your place to say to that person, well, it's your right and you do it this way. No, that is governed by what's found inside you. But guess what I had to do? Because, see, I know the devil's a liar, y'all. That devil's work is never done. And I know that who am I talking to? Who am I talking to? The disappointments are coming like the waves found on the sea. They constantly are hitting you on all aspects. Now, aren't they? Now, aren't they? Did I not warn you? Did I not warn you to ground your feet? Did I not try to convey to you that the Jezebel spirit, her work is never done, because she is nothing but an agent for the devil. The devil is that lion in the brush, y'all. He will use anything he has to use to sway you from yourself. Because he knows if he sways you from yourself, he's got your soul. So it's nothing to use materialism. There's nothing to use influence. It's nothing to use beauty. Whatever is needed, that's what he's going to do. That's why spiritual attacks happen all the time. Why? Because it's a reflection of what your spirit. See, some of y'all don't know who you are. That's why I echo this all the time. Do you know who you are? Because if you did, you were protected. Because if you knew who you were, you already knew how important it is to protect your legacy, your lineage, especially if you are a man. But see, you can't turn around and use the term man or Mr. without earning the right. Doesn't matter how much money you find in your possession, or where you live, or how many women you have banged out until the sun's come up. It does not matter, because guess what? None of those things will make you whole. All those things are interchangeable at any moment. That's why people rise to fame and fall quickly like a shooting star. It doesn't matter. You will not get back that last breath that you just exchanged out of your precious lungs. It cannot change the polarity of your bloodstream. It doesn't matter. What about those precious dreams, those spiritual gifts that only you know that you protect, that you have, and the world will bear witness to? See, all things tie in together, y'all. All things tie in together. And I'm feeling a certain kind of way because I'm kind of torn on some stuff. Three things happened that blew my mind. I had one person ask me, because lately we've been on this Black Lives Matter discussion, and I voiced my opinion and my position on this, because it's my opinion, it's my life, and you don't have to agree with it, but we can agree to disagree. But one thing that I did not want to do is come off as a hypocrite. So instead, what I ended up doing is I sat down one day and I did the research. I listened to the public interviews that the founding members put out, and I saw a commonality there. And then I also heard something very loud and clear that made me sit back, take note, and made me wonder what's really going on. See, you have some people that won't have the courage to admit this. That's why I said, be still, be observant, and watch what you see is revealed to you. Because that's going to be your insight and ultimately will become your wisdom. That's why you can't speak and listen at the same time. You have to do one or the other. Because if you don't, you're going to miss something. And what will ultimately be the factor is you will lose time, because you will have to go back if the opportunity is there to correct it. A lot of times it's not. A lot of times we spend more time trying to do patchwork than laying the foundation to begin with. Who am I talking to? Now, let's go back to this Black Lives Matter movement. See, here's the problem I had about the whole thing. You have those people that, you have those three that created a hashtag, but are being credited actually for, if you add D-Ray to it, as the founding members. But guess what? The same struggles, the same problems, the same issues and concerns never stopped and never were echoed or answered 50 years ago. So the struggle has been, your elders were in that struggle, but nobody is taking consideration. And I think that's a slap in the face, because there were people that died because for you to have the position that you have now. And I look at that as somebody spitting in the face of your elders, like they didn't struggle, like their struggle did not have any merit. Nobody is taking that into consideration. I got a problem with that, because you didn't get here on the humbug. But like I said, I started to do the research, right? And the more I started to research, I noticed this. There are a lot of people that are picking up the shield of the Black Lives Matter movement, thinking it's one way, and really it's not. Here's my point. Now, as I put out the last two videos, please do the research yourself. And when you do the research, look at it without a bias. Take in what you are listening and seeing. Write notes down if you have to. Problem I got with that was you have those that want to pick up that banner, right? Did they say that I'm doing this for Black lives, right? Where's the black man in that? Let's look at this objectively. Because if you listen to the founding members of that hashtag, because like I said, that movement been going on. They were doing sit-ins. They were doing boycotts. Only difference was, compared to now, to then, there was a deliberate blackout, so to speak, by the media. But this was going on nationally. The people back then only had the newspaper. You think they're going to put that on TV for those who could afford a TV back then? No, because they didn't want unification. They didn't want that, because then it would be deemed as a threat, a challenge, or maybe a position to take accountability for actions that were once done. Here's my second problem. I think it's kind of ironic that you have so many feminists, both non-white, both black and just minority, period, that support this movement. You do understand that feminists hate men, right? And the reason why they hate men is because there was a man in their lives. May have been their father, mother, may have been their father, brother, uncle, grandfather, someone of significance that should have protected them, betrayed them, traumatized them, violated them. Instead of taking a position to heal, I told y'all, take the stopwatch off your life. Take the stopwatch. What you rushing for? Give yourself the proper time needed to get yourself right. Because if you don't get yourself right, you're not going to be able to stand upright. You're not going to be able to protect yourself. And you're not going to be able to understand what may be put right in front of your face. You might not understand. So does it surprise you that even to this day, 2016, majority, not all, but majority, most women won't admit when they're wrong. Even if it's detriment to themselves, they won't admit it. It's beneath them. You may have seen this in your own home. It might have been your mother, it might have been your auntie, might have been your grandma, might have been someone of significance. And you know they did something wrong. Now this toolage is supposed to teach you to be the best you, but yet it's hypocritical. Why? Why is it so hard for a woman to admit she has made a choice that was not in her best image? But it is expected for a man. I'll tell you why. It goes back from day one. It's the spiritual hierarchy. God created Adam in his image. God took his rib and created Eve. It was the serpent or Satan that showed Eve by way of manipulation. He attacked her mind. And therefore, world as we know it has evolved since then. Now, let me tell you something. I'm not sitting up here making a rant like I'm coming off like I'm bashing. Listen here, queens. Don't you realize I'm one of the good ones? Do you realize that? I don't have to do this. But I get sick and tired of watching you take on wounds that are not yours. I ain't nothing worse than to see a woman lose her smile. Who am I talking to? Last time you seen a smile, it was in a picture. You don't even recognize yourself, because in that picture the joy was there. Joy existed there. Who's the person in the mirror now? You're a little older now. A little bit more tired now. A little bit less tolerant now. And you have more wounds now. Why won't you stop? Why won't you love yourself? Why do you think God wants you to prepare? He didn't tell you to go find your mate, but society wants to convince you to take it upon yourself to exploit yourself so that you will have validation of your being, even if it is by way of your mortality. I love y'all. You're not supposed to be taking an L. No. Especially if it ain't love, life. I don't have to do this. But some of y'all don't see what's going on. That's why I understand why the song Blurred Lines came about. The images was promiscuity, but the song was really about being covert to what was to come. Because you know, when you mix right and wrong together, you have deception. You have division. And you have those, unfortunately, caught up in things, in places, and people that should have never been there. Do you realize there are people in cemeteries that should not be there? Do you realize there are people living lives that they shouldn't? I know I'm talking to somebody. Your life is not by humbug. I'm just doing this just because. Nothing is just because. There's a divine reason for it. But it can be your testimony. You can turn it around. Why are you keeping company with where misery lives? Because they are giving you a consolation prize called social upgrade. So you're putting a price tag on your body. That's what prostitutes do. But you know what prostitutes don't do? And a prostitute can be a male or a female. But one thing that that I've noticed about prostitutes don't love themselves. They are disconnected from themselves. They do not have a relationship with God, and they worship money. That's why they keep walking the block. That's why they slip into those hotel rooms and meet on dating sites and do things that were nothing but an abomination of their existence. I'm not condemning you. I'm trying to get you to understand that you have more life still to live. That's why I do it. So let's go back to this Black Lives Matter thing, right? So someone took it upon themselves to write me this long letter. And, they were pretty much telling me that I did not have the right to have a position that I had. And let me explain my position. Number one, I fear God. I serve God. I want my name, my life, after I'm gone, whenever the intended time is, to stand for someone, stand for something, and of course, someone. My life is not in vain. I am a heterosexual male. I am a man. I'm a spiritual one. So I see things as it is, as God put it down. But here's the ironic part on that. It seems like those who do not share that same position want to condemn you for not accepting it. They want you to be portrayed as a hate monger. So I'm a hate monger because I love women. I love the subtleties of a woman's beauty. How about her hair? How about her skin? How about the contour that when she walks, she has a sway about her that is only of her own. That is her uniqueness. How about the pitch of her voice? How about her charm and the ability to see her worth? But what makes her even more rare, like a diamond, she loves God. Now, at the end of the day, you have to live your life. You have to live your life. You do. And I understand that we're in end times, y'all. We do know that, right? We are in end times. We do not know the hour nor the moment, but it's coming. Because we are, as the years go by, we are repeating what is going on in Sodom and Gomorrah. And what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? What happened? It was destroyed. What do you think? Let's go back even more. Why do you think they had the great flood? God got tired. Nothing happens by chance, but we want to overlook these things. That's why history serves us. History serves us for one thing. Did you learn? Did you learn it? Because you learned it. If you learned it, you won't repeat it. But that's what we're doing. So I had this person, oh man, because the devil's work's never done. And I know demons got to stay employed. This person was like, first thing, tried to attack my spirituality. First of all, you can't attack my spirituality. Do you realize how fortified in the blood I am? Do you actually? Come on. But guess what? I'm going to pray for you. You have to do the work, though. See, I don't have to worry about going to sleep at night feeling disconnected. I don't have voices in my head saying coulda, woulda, shoulda, because I have inner peace inside me. And that's what you should have. You should never have to go through life or in a season where you have to worry about what you said to who and what you did with them and wondering if it'll ever come back. Because, see, I don't have secrets. I speak my truth. That's why in the scriptures it said the truth will set you free. And some people are afraid of that. They're afraid. They won't admit it. Just look at their behavior. Nothing good comes out of bad behavior. You do know that, right? But more bad behavior. But here's kicker. So after I started doing the research, because I really wanted to understand the mindset of this attempt to unify under the Black Lives Matter movement. But see, this is what I had a problem with. You're not giving correct acknowledgement from those who have been holding it down. What about SNCC? Y'all know what SNCC is? What about the people that were talking about this back then? Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey. How about Frederick Douglass? You think they wasn't worried about Black lives then? But see, I also understand that those people that are also to the right and they have their personal agenda and they were getting paid too. They were getting paid and they end up paying. They paid with their lives because all things done in the dark, what? Comes to the light. All things hidden will be revealed. Even if it's truth that you didn't know. Because guess what? When you have done the work, God will reveal everything that you need to know. Why? Because if you put him first in your life, he's going to protect you. He's going to also divide you too. You can't walk with everybody. You're not supposed to, and not everybody's supposed to know your story too. So let's go back. So as I was researching, right, I jumped right on here. And I saw this, there's a reporter, there's a journalist named Lisa Flanders. If you put her name up there, she's done interviews with the founding members, right? These are the words that came from their mouth. No paraphrasing. No non-quotes. This came from them. And this is where I had to step back because they pretty much put out the mission statement of what the BLM goals are. And guess what? First thing was to elevate the female platform. That was number one. to change the patriarchy that is known today. That means acknowledging a relationship as between a man and a woman. They wanted to change that. And third, elevate and acknowledge the LGBT community because they were being disfranchised. Now, you notice those three things right there? You heard nothing about the black male. How about the male in general? So let's go back to that feminist. That feminists don't want men, but they act like men. So guess what? You're living a lie because God didn't make a mistake when He created you. If He wanted you to have testicles, you wouldn't have ovaries. He deemed you special to carry the seed. But see, let's go there too. Most scientists, most people that are in the medical field, they won't have the courage to tell you this, but they don't believe in God either. They believe in man. Mm-hmm. That's why you constantly are having experiments done in CERN, Switzerland right now. See, we're not talking about that because they don't want you to look at it. They don't want you to mess up what they're doing. But here's the ironic thing. Do you realize there are almost, I think they said, I don't want to misquote it, but pretty much Luciferian churches are being erected rampantly. Now, here's the funny thing about this. That excludes, those are people that believe in Satan. So guess what? That automatically excludes the atheist who believes in nothing. And also their whole agenda is to discredit anything that was done by God. So now you have two-thirds that are willfully or maybe not knowingly setting themselves up to be deceived. Why you see them doing this? You know what that means? You know what that means? It's the 3 6s. That's the sign of the Baphomet, the Antichrist. There are symbols being shown. That's why it's like the it thing to do. Why? Because a good percentage of them don't realize what it means. They do it. Some of them are catching a check too. You know why? So they can influence your babies. You won't be a threat to them. You won't be a problem to them. So, and I'm gonna throw this in there, and I'm gonna jump back to what I need to say. 3 weeks ago, I had this dream, and in this dream, I found myself in. Actually, let me go back. I had it. It's been a little bit more than that. I had this dream that I was in this room. This room was all white. It was about the size. It kind of reminded me like I was in a 7-Eleven that had been painted white, right? There was a fireplace, and there were some objects on the fireplace. The door, that's why I think it was in a 7-Eleven, because you got the doors like the 7-Eleven. It was clean. Like there was no stains, no smoke, no nothing. I could look out And as I looked out, I saw the most greenest pasture and valley out that door, right? And as I'm looking, as far as I can see, I see these little white lights, little dots, right? And they're coming over this valley ledge. They're coming this way, right? And I realized that those were people, and they were coming. They said what the average eyesight is, you can see what, 10 to 15 miles away, depending on a clear day. And they were coming. Now here's the ironic part. To my right, there was a window. And as I looked out this window, I spoke about this in a previous video, maybe, I want to say maybe five to six videos back. So if you go back, 5 or 6 videos, it's in there. I looked out that window, and I saw it looked like a city neighbor, like I was it reminded me like I was up north. And looking out, I saw this little black boy, right? He had on a white and royal blue striped polo, long sleeve. He had his backpack on his shoulder. He had his hair braided and pulled to the back. And he was just leaning on this wall, this brick wall that was maybe, I'd say, from ground to height, 3.5 to 4 feet. And he had his arm on it. Across from them, there was a street. And then across from there was a park. There was a playground, because I could see the swings and stuff. And it looked, like it was a new park, or it had been freshly painted, the swings. Because I remember the colors were blue, yellow, red, catch the eye. But behind there were these apartment buildings, So that's why I say it looks like something from up north, It looked like one of them high-rise apartments and stuff. Now you see it, like, for example, how you see in the videos, but they show New York and they show the housing areas and stuff. Those, what I'm saying? It looked like that. And the trees were there. It was beautiful. But what caught my eye was this. As I'm looking out, that little boy couldn't have been no more than maybe between the ages of 11 to 14 years old. And all of a sudden, I see him start crying. He's weeping. But he's holding on to that ledge. He's leaning on that ledge, and he's got that backpack. And as I'm looking out, he stops and he does this at me. And I'm watching the tears fall from this boy's eyes. And I'm saying to him, come on in. And he's like, no. Like he was making terms. He was coming to terms with something. Something was going to happen. And he knew, like, there's nothing I can do about it. And he just was leaning on that wall, looking over at the playground. And, he would every now and then look over at me, like he was looking in where I was. So there's nothing in this room besides this fireplace. There's these objects on this fireplace. Maybe they were little statues or something. At first, I thought that was a reflection of my place, because I have a fireplace and I have wooden statues on my mantle, as well as I've got my spiritual stones there too. And but it was a little different. And all of a sudden, I look through the door and I see somebody. that I had great love for. I'd rather cut my arm off for this person that I loved them that much. But they were on the other side of the door. And as I walked to the door, I couldn't open it. And I can hear them on the other side. They're talking to me. And it's real low, almost like a whisper. And then next thing I know, I see this. I see blood. Queens, when it's that time of the month and it's time and it's darker, right? That's what I saw. And the more and more that glass, the more and more I stayed there, the more it came. And it was dark. And what they had on started to become saturated. Kind of like, I would imagine symbolically, like a miscarriage. And it shook me. And I stepped back and I heard this screaming. I heard this wailing from someone, and they were in pain. They were in a pain unlike anything I've ever imagined. And of course that affected me because they were an extension of me. We were connected. We have a history, but there was nothing I could do about it. This brings me back to my point. You know how the scriptures talk about the mark of the beast, right? There's been an understanding that people think that, the mark of the beast is going to be a stamp on your hand, or it's going to be on your forehead. There's going to be a mark. Well, the dream I had 2 weeks ago, not what I just described happened. That dream was I said that was at least a couple months back. But the dream I had 2 weeks ago, it was like I was in a room. I was sitting at a table. I told y'all that. And on that, I was standing in front of, I was into this table, and I saw all these clipboards, right? And I mean, they had ledgers that were, it had to be they were about that thick. And this table was long. And all you saw was clipboards, stacked on a clipboard, one here, one on top, going like rows of 5 as far as you can see. And I heard this voice basically tell me, you see this right here? These are all the works of the deceiver. I know who the deceiver is. The deceiver is Satan. And the clipboards were acts of that he has done. And I was being privileged to see it. Like, yeah. See, we've done all this. Yeah. Like it was to convince me, like you can't beat this. So you might as well go ahead and get in line. Go ahead, play your position. And if you play your position, we'll give you what you want. But see, with that being said, when you're rolling with the deceiver will always give you what you want. You know why? The end goal is your soul. That's why when you have disappointment, That's why when you deal with betrayal, that's why when you hold on to those secrets, that's the price to manipulate the way you perceive your life. So that made me think, wait a minute, maybe the mark of the beast is not a literal mark. Maybe the mark of the beast is a perception embraced. You ever thought about that? You ever thought about that? That's why, look, why they say he's a thief in the night. His whole objective is to kill, steal, and destroy. So why would he want you to come into the person you were destined to become when you took your first breath? You ever thought about that? Have you sat down and done the inventory on where your life is right now? Because that takes courage. That also takes transparency to allow yourself to be true to you, being vulnerable. That's why I keep saying, not everybody's supposed to hear you breathe. Not everybody's supposed to know your story. And that is also why we are what we attract. So if you're running after J-Bone and J-Bone don't care if you live or die, look at the example of what's going on right at that moment. But also take in consideration that at one time you signed off on this. Somewhere you signed off on it. Because see, what the action is the manifestation. And a manifestation cannot occur unless it's an embrace behavior. And that embrace behavior has to start off as a thought. Correction. That behavior must start off as a pattern. And that pattern has to start off as a thought. And if that thought is in your brain, you have to question, how did it get there? Does it serve me? Or does it divide me? Most people don't. Remember what I said? There are people in cemeteries that ain't supposed to be there, but they there. You get a daily dose of conditioning called the 6 o'clock news. You know why the 6 o'clock news exists? To continue the brainwashing. That's why it's far and few between that you hear a good story. That's why it's also far and few between that you actually, when you hear somebody with a microphone in their mouth, they actually got something to say. But usually that's not. They find that one that wants to set you back 5 years. How about the choice just to not say anything? But see, I also understand you have some people that feel incomplete and they've got to say the last word to get validation of their psyche. You don't believe me? How many times you done made a comment online? Made a comment online and somebody turns around and just wants to dehumanize you because of your position. Wait a minute. I thought we lived in a republic that you have freedom of speech. I thought we did. But because you don't have the same ideology as I do, we want to destroy that. That's what's going on, y'all. But that's also what's been going on. That's what was in the scripture. They said you're going to get tested for your faith. For those who do have a relationship with God, do you not see what's going on? They want to make you public enemy number one. Why? Because it doesn't serve the devil's agenda. So anything that they can do to make you look like the nut job, to attack your credibility, they're going to do that. You know why? Because they don't have the courage to look themselves in the mirror and do the work themselves. So let's talk about these feminists one more again. See, right now, LGBT community is like the new black, you know. And if you're not down, they do everything in their power to silence you. You do understand that too, right? You know, if you don't agree with what they're doing, it's like a social gang when you think about it. If you ain't rolling with us, we're gonna roll through you. So who's the endangered species? The heterosexual male. They want to silence the voice and make this world into, pretty much when you think about it, an Amazonian society. And the question is why? I already know the answer though. Because if you turn around and flip the script, guess what? You don't have to justify your actions. You act by emotion, and you have non-accountability for what you do. So you can't do that with a man that knows himself, because his job is to protect you from you. His job is to guide you to be the best you. Why you think the symbolism of the yin and yang? Do you not see it? Like I said, you split that, you flip that on its side, people automatically will turn around and say, oh, that's the infinity sign. Yeah. But if you look a little deeper, that's the illustration of being yoked. And two people not going in the same direction cannot go forward. So you got to sign off on that. You got to sign off on that. So let's go back one more again. So feminists don't like that, because then that would make them have to take a position of accountability for their choices instead of using volume, because that's what they're doing. A lot of them say, well, you know what? I'm just going to turn my actions on 20 to be heard. Don't you understand? You're more heard when you're silent than you do with one octave. You know what I'm saying? But the truth is, most have deep wounds. Still waters run deep. So does the emotional psyche. That is why we have sociopaths. That is why we have narcissists. That's why we have schizophrenics and bipolar disorder. Why? Commonality is these people cannot speak their truth. They operate off of manipulation and control. And they are the puppet masters. But what I found was really ironic about that whole movement, once again, right? God ain't there. We keep ignoring that. God created you in his image to be who you are. So guess what? If you're not living the life that you were put on this planet to do in the body that you were to, you're not living your life. So whose life are you living? Not God's. But once again, the devil will give you what you want. So why do you think the pain does not stop? Hmm? Why do you think the addictions are never quenched? Why do you think the age rate has not been cured yet? Now you do understand that any ailment on this planet, there's a cure for. You do understand that, right? And those who know are making money off of that. And they also know that that is nothing but a tool for depopulation too. You know, there were those people that believed that they had a subtlety. They would say, you want to hide something from somebody, put it in a book because they want to invest in themselves. And that used to be an underlining black joke. So, oh, yeah, you want to hide something from a black person, put them in a book. Put it in a book. They won't read it. Got a problem with that. Now, here's my last point. Why do you think we are going? Why do you think there's so much anguish going on, but we are trying to give a position for bad behavior? That's where that blurred line comes into perspective. Now, here's the point I'm trying to make. One life cut down is one life too many. But we tend to want to lump every situation in the same group. Now, here's the thing I don't understand, and help me understand. Please respond to me. Why is it that a lot of the lives that were lost, you see two things. You see the families trying to get paid off of it. And my question is, would you still have the same passion to pursue justice if there was no money? Here's another thing too. For those who do not believe or have a connection with their spirituality yet and take a scientific position, why are we trying to change what's evident when it comes to cause and effect? Here's my question. If I turned around and I was reared in an environment where I was not taught to be myself, not to embrace morals, not given proper support to understand my gender, because I'm gonna tell you, listen, Queens, your heart might be golden, but if you have a son, you cannot teach him to be a man. You cannot. No matter how hard you try. Because the only thing that'll come out of that is as he gets older, as he gets stronger, and he becomes more aware of his mind, he's going to resent you from separating him from what he needed. And that is why so many young boys gravitate to the streets. That's cause and effect. That is why there's so much rampant sexual promiscuity going on with our babies, because they're looking for something that's not in the home. Why do we overlook that? Why do we not try to combat that too. Why do we overlook that you know what I'm saying? The laws have been structured that it is made for women. It is evident. But why is it, even if you did what you were supposed to do, right? That child rebels you. Why? Because there's a lack thereof balance. You do understand, when you conceived, you gave half of your 23 chromosomes as well as the father. You may have had good intentions and said, well, you know what? Because I was selfish, I didn't protect myself, I got a blessing coming. And that's one thing I will say, that what God will do. God will take two broken people to make a blessing, and that child will empower you to bring the best out of you, because they depend on you. But see, society has convinced you, my queens, to go through unnecessary traumas, unnecessary disappointments, unnecessary setbacks, and delays for your life. It's no surprise, socially and economically, there are programs so that you can educate yourself. Oh yeah, there's a lot of programs for the single mother. Why? Because they want you to be that consumer. They need you to get in that matrix and have that perspective that, you know what, you don't need a man, you just need us. That's why a man can't go down to social services and say, hey, can I be on welfare? I got these children right here. No, they're going to look at you and laugh you out the building. Because the mindset of a man is, you're the protector, you're the provider, and that's your seed. So you are obligated to them. You better go get your life. And it's cut and dry. But see, one thing that the government realized too, as long as you are disfranchised or keep on and you embrace a mindset that I can do this by myself, they win. And it doesn't stop just on your feet, because they know that as long as you're divided and long as you're dependent, it's going to influence your children. Look at the statistics for crime. They're very, very high when it comes to single mother households. It's not supposed to be that way. But I've also seen this. I've seen situations where it has flipped, and the single mother, because she had low self-esteem, low worth in herself, and that's why she was out there sleeping with everybody. She came up to this conception, well, you know what, if I produce a child, that child will be dependent on me, and I'll have someone unconditionally that will love me. But why is it that child, as it rears itself up in the environment that it is, it does just the opposite, especially if it's a boy. But here's the other damaging thing, that why do you not take note of this? Why is it that boy, you get to a point where you can't control him, and then you want to pick the phone up and say, well, you know what, I'm going to send you to my granddad or to your grandfather's, or you'll send them anywhere else but to the father. Don't you know that's what that child needs? Because see, its psyche, that child's psyche, half of it is made up of you and the non-custodial parent. So you're setting that child up to fail. But here's the thing, queens, that you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. Some of y'all you allow your pride and your bad behavior, and as long as you get what you want, you sit high on your throne, called your home, but you attract nothing but drama there because it's not blessed. Anything that's not blessed will not have peace. And it will be a constant reminder of what you need to do. But here's the problem I don't understand. Help me understand this. If you are a female viewer, somebody shared this to you, or you're part of the subscription, and if you're a new subscriber, peace be unto you. Welcome. I want nothing but the best for you, but you've got to do the work. Why or who convinced you not to take accountability for your actions? Who convinced? Because that is the common theme. The typical female will not own her actions unless it's a benefit in there. Why? It's like it takes an act of Congress for you to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And I've noticed there is a sorority of women that will even be in cahoots to keep that lie going. Why? Misery loves company. Meanwhile, you've got this boy reared in an environment, but what you don't know, you're setting him up for more emotional turmoil, because what you're going to do is you're going to prepare him for a woman to come into his life and break him down. Why do you think it is traditional for the male, the son, to present should be his prospective bride to the mother? Which is also the same thing as when a baby is reared, is born. What does that boy do? He brings that baby to the mom. Why? Because she knows, you know, which really is your discernment. That's family. You already know. That's that spiritual connection. It's given to you. Because women are, one of the gifts as a woman was a gift of nurturement. That's why you are called mother, mom. That's a blessed word. But not every woman can be a mother. I say this out of love, y'all. You're not supposed to be taking L's. You're not supposed to be with them either. They're exploiting you. But see, for you to, and it's funny because in the back of your mind, when nobody's looking, you are taking stock and inventory of your environment. But yet you keep trying to spin the cube, so to speak, to make something fit that don't. And it's not, because you're going against divine order. But why won't you see that? We all have to do our parts, y'all. We're all here on borrowed time. Nobody's going to love you as much as you love yourself. But you won't even know what love feels like purely. See, you had that when you were a child. Remember? Big old eyes like diamonds, endless potential when you were young, because you were innocent. See, your disposition as it is now is not from that little girl that lives inside you. Someone had to teach you that through experience. So if you want to get mad, yeah, get mad at those people who willfully didn't want to see your worth. Get mad at those people that decided that being truthful and transparent, you wasn't worthy of that. Get mad at those people that willfully wanted to be an obstacle in your direction. Get mad at that, but make that the motivation to be who you really are. You ain't supposed to be no square when you were born a circle. And when you decide to come to terms with that, you'll actually see how beautiful you really are. And you'll also see this. You'll also come to understand that the people that genuinely had your best interest, that genuinely loved you, you'll finally have to come to terms to understand what they were saying the whole time. And you might have to take a seat for that, because then and only then will you be transparent with yourself. It doesn't matter how many people you didn't screwed. Do you understand that? Nobody cares except the person that's in your life now. That's what matters, not where you've been. If you want to literally look at it, think of it this way. Those were cheap exits and examples of showing you what you didn't need. But if they didn't have a relationship with God, you couldn't have a relationship with them because you don't have a relationship with yourself. So the deception continues. The pain increases. You're not crazy. You're not. Kings, you ain't out of the woods. I got to speak to them because we're losing them. We're losing them to people that look just like them and share their gender. But here's the funny thing about it is, because for those who think that, well, you know what, because one man did this to me, all men are the same. You are deceiving yourself, because guess what? You don't know all men. And guess what? The people that you did know did not have a relationship with God, because if they had a relationship with God, guess what? Their job is to protect you, even from yourself. Why would someone who genuinely has admiration, support, nurturement set you up for failure? Why would they do that? Why would they ask you to do something they wouldn't do for themselves? I know I'm talking to somebody. But you see, that's what opportunists do. And what have I always conveyed to each and every one of you? See, an opportunist does not need your help to expose themselves. But what is required is for you to have the courage to see it for what it is. That might be that lover you share your bed with. That might be that dirty secret that you're living with. That might be that person you're breaking bread with. That might be that person that you are connected to by blood and bone. Because you do understand that because you are reared in a family, the devil loves that. Why do you think the Jezebel spirit is so rampant? She loves to destroy families. Mm-hmm. She loves to hide in the shadows of fear. Oh yeah, she got to stay employed. So do demons. But you can be protected from that the moment that you decide to get real with yourself. You have to ask yourself this, y'all. Is your life where it should be? And if it is, kudos to you. I hope you're walking with God. Because if it is where you think it should be, just notice that is nothing but a speckle of where you're divinely meant. But until you put God in front of you, you can't get it. It's like grabbing a brass ring and missing every time. But that merry-go-round continues to go. Some people know that is an emotional roller coaster. And then You get to a point where you're saying to yourself, well, you know what? I've done dirt. I know I've done dirt. You ain't got to remind me I've done dirt, but you still in pain behind closed doors. You still jumping behind steering wheels and driving the parking lot to let your hair out or let them tears go. Why? Why are you doing that? Because you think it's belittling to be human? Because you think it's beneath you to be you? Huh? But yet you want to grab onto the flag of I'm an independent person. There's no such thing as being independent, because guess what? You are born to learn. You were born to grow. So there is a division going on, ladies and gentlemen. You do understand that, right? There are people that are so close to you that only want your destruction. Am I talking to somebody now? They're plotting on you right now. They want you, they want to be you so bad because they don't have the courage to be themselves. How many people have gone through that? Every time you say something, they got to one up it. Every time you want to do something for yourself, they want to talk you out of it. Why? Because these people are in torment. You know why? Because then they have to admit to themselves they were wrong. You think you were born on this planet to be the concubine? You wouldn't need that secret drawer if you had a spiritual man, because you would know what love is, heaven on earth. Who am I talking to? But in turn, you settled for wow. You chose for door number 2 when you should have been the grand prize. The grand prize is you. That's why I say the greatest story you're going to ever know is your life. Meanwhile, they sitting in the cut having conversations about what you did and what you didn't do, who you know and who you was in cahoots with. Little do you know, they probably knew each other by way of you. And the commonality was you. And what did they get out of it? A little ridicule, a little anger, because of course you have no control of that, but you got the scars. You got the bruises. How about them emotional wounds that you've been holding on to, and you thinking that you're proud, your pride, it's all I need. Just me, myself, and I. There's no such thing. But it may feel that way if you don't have God there. And I'm going to throw this out here too, because I didn't ran my mouth long enough. Can't you see how passionate I am? I ain't got to do this, but I know somebody needs to hear this. The moment that you decide to focus on you, you will see who they really are. Those masks are coming off, y'all, with or without your consent. And that's why maybe some of y'all are dealing with relationship issues and they acting out. They're acting out. You don't know where they are. They talk slick. That ain't nothing but that demon. That demon thinks it's empowered enough to finally come in for the kill. Why are you with somebody that don't make you feel safe? Because of their stroke, their girth, because she can pop it. You know what she can't do? She can't wear your name. He can't stand in front of you because they don't love themselves. And just throw this out here. You know them little ones? They watching all you doing. That's the first education, mommy and daddy. And their minds are constantly going, why is mom not with him? Where's dad? Why is she with that man? His breath stink. Why mom making all those noises? Why is daddy having all these women in the house? I don't like her. Where's my mama at? Why does my grandma treat me like trash? Because I know that some of y'all went through that too. Had some elders that hated you because of your skin color, or the reminder of the person that they had no control over. Oh, who am I talking to? Hmm? You're being separated for a reason. You've been separated since day one. So tell me why you're not going to fight for you. Because they don't give a damn about you. You don't believe me? Stop doing the things you normally do for free and watch. For those people that are living, for those people, you used to call me on my, yeah, those people, stop calling their asses. Just stop and watch. I keep telling you, opportunities don't need your help. But guess what? The only thing that's going to come out of that is bad behavior. So, how much pain you got to go through till you decide to love yourself? Hmm? Do I have your attention? Because nobody can do to you what you won't allow. And if you're in a situation because it's a financial agreement, you signed off on that. Deceit plus deceit don't equal peace. Doesn't matter if it got paper tags or not. Guess what? He knows what he used to get you. And what happens is this. You will end up sharing the same story that the woman or the man before you already knows. That's not your story, man. Why can't y'all see that? Queens, I'm going to say this for the last time. Do you want to inherit your spiritual last name? That means be married. If you want that, if you want all the characteristics that you feel in your heart, not in your mind, in your heart, for a man to have, you got to do two things. Number one, allow yourself to heal. Admit to yourself what is broken and do the work to heal it. The second part is stop seeking a man out completely. I know somebody's like, well, why would I do that, Gerald? I'm not gay. I didn't say about being gay. I said, if you want the man that you're destined to be with to be revealed in your life, what I'm asking you to do is be still and prepare. Because we are what we attract. You do understand that, right? You're not going to find the titillation and stimulation that you have in your little secret stash. You know that you're not supposed to be doing that. The one's supposed to take care of everything, from every hair follicle to your toenail. He's supposed to make sure and cultivate that it is at peace. That's what being emotionally safe is all about. Because see, when he or she is going to be revealed, first of all, they're going to be your mirror. And you probably already know that because you see the bad behavior already. You know, all those people that have done you wrong, they're only in your life to teach you not to do it yourself, as well as to teach you what you don't need. You're not supposed to be walking around on this planet torn. You're not supposed to be making willful compromises. Well, I just want a little bit. I want a little bit. I want to feel him, but you know, if I let him in, you know, he gonna think that he gonna take advantage. You listen. You do understand a life without God in it is an opportunity for a demon to come in it. Did you get my? Do you understand that? There is no gray area. There's your blurred line. When you think that your logic is, well, you know, I'll do this, but I won't do that. Nah, the spiritual line is already drawn. There shouldn't be nothing to talk about. So if you need it, do the work. And guess what's going to happen? Those people that do not share your ideology, they will reveal that through their actions. You will see it crystal clear in their behavior. And guess what? You're going to be divided from them too. That's why you can't get them on the phone now. So I'll be calling, can't get you. No, that's a sign to let you know divinely sever that. And the longer you try to hold on to it, the more painful it get. But let me say this, and I'm going to go. Don't worry about seeing them again. Don't worry about it. Because everything comes full circle. And don't worry about those people. I don't care if they move to Botswana, get married 4, 5, 6 times, whatever. You'll see them again. You will. You will. And the reason for that is so that you will have validation to justify your wisdom. Because the experience is nothing but the insight. So how much do you value yourself now? Kings, you got to do your work. You got to be the best you. You got to own your stuff. You got to repent. You've got to atone for the things you put in action. Until you do, guess what? Your life is not going to go as you want it to. It's like trying to drive a vehicle with a busted clutch. Don't matter how much you push on that paddle, she ain't going nowhere. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Because meanwhile, as long as you stay divided, guess what? The people on the cheap seat, the people that don't have your best agenda, the people that have willfully placed a declaration of war on your life and progression, they sitting back, they winning. They're sitting down there, they're like, yep, it's just a matter of time. And when they do, I'm gonna strike. Just like a spider on a web. Spider ain't gonna come aggressively on the prey. It lets the prey get caught up in its own bullshit. Excuse my French. And then it acts in the behavior that it is. Preservation through survival. And what is survival without God? You ain't living. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Means how many bruises you gotta hide before you finally accept the fact that those people don't love you. Because guess what? Love don't hurt. It only grows. How's your finances these days? Be blessed.